Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the Ego brand lawn care equipment. Alright, so you have your mower, your blower, and also your string trimmer or weed whacker. Alright, so stay tuned and we're going to go through a review of these products. Thank you for joining me for once again another lawn care video. This is Mike with Jealous Lawn Care, and first thing I want to talk about is the main difference here between this and most of the lawn mowing equipment, like the Toro series which I use, or Hondas. Basically, this is battery powered. So this review is basically going to be battery versus gas. And obviously the biggest factor of going with the Ego brand or other battery powered equipment comparables would be basically the fact that you don't have to do basically any maintenance, yearly maintenance with these, except for maybe sharpening your blade. That's pretty much all you're going to have to do. So not having any maintenance is a very big benefit. Assuming the battery powered also cut the same quality as our gas powered comparables, right? So definitely like the fact that the battery here can be interchanged. So let me get a close up here for you. So you have all the same basic philosophies as you would with your gas power. You have a bagging option, a mulching option, and also a self-propelled option, which is right over here. So this lever right here will basically enact, so there we go, it starts automatically, and there is no real on and off button. So that's one of the interesting factors, that there's no on and off button for the engine to start propelling. So there you go, just that little bit. And if you notice, there is a half a second, maybe a second delay from when I press this. Let's say one, that's probably a half a second delay. So if that half a second delay bothers you, then this might not be the mower for you. But you know, maybe they put it in for safety, maybe they put it in so you're not rushing. And we all agreed in one of my last videos that we shouldn't be rushing doing your lawn care. And to quote a very famous individual in the lawn care industry, you should be enjoying your mow, and you shouldn't be rushing it, right? So how you start it up is, first of all, you make sure that you have the battery in. So let's turn this around and let's make sure we have the battery in. So right now this comes with a 7.5 amp, and it's just that easy taking it in and out and charging it. And from my understanding, this basically lasts 1 hour. So if you have a lawn that's, let's say, like an acre, this would not be the mower for you. Otherwise you'd need multiple batteries. So this is mainly for people with smaller size lawns. You know, when I tried this basically got through my whole lawn front and back, and I have 5,000 square feet. So just to give you a frame of reference. So, but if you have something much bigger than mine, it ain't gonna happen. And I would recommend always buying a extra battery. So of course the batteries are always very expensive in lawn care equipment and any other equipment, drills and stuff like that. Sometimes it's more expensive than the lawnmower or equipment itself. So it is what it is, but it's supposed to be a 5-year warranty on this machine, and I doubt they warranty the battery that long, but even if they don't, you can always get around that, if you know what I mean. So once you swap that in, you are good to start it up. And one thing I'd also like to mention is that this mower comes with a 7.5 amp battery. The blower and the trimmer, they come with 2.5 amps. So from what I've experienced already, it's not more power. It's only how long the battery will last. So let's get that philosophy out of your mindset already. I didn't notice any more power when I interchanged the two. And yes, that's a very big benefit of the system, buying the system together, buying all three. And to be honest, this would even be better if you got the snowblower attachment, depending on where you are. You know, I'm in Chicagoland, so a snowblower and attachment, or not an attachment, excuse me, but a separate snowblower that can be interchanged with these batteries is also very nice. And all these, I'll put a link to it below in the description so you can check them out yourself. Check out the reviews yourself and see what you think about these, but we're going to go through the rest of it here. So big benefit is that these are all interchangeable. You can put the 2.5 amp in the lawnmower and it will run just fine. Same as the 7.5. It just won't run as long as 7.5 will. And you can also put the 7.5 in the weed whacker and also the blower. Again, doesn't seem like it's any more power, but it's just going to last that much longer. So you shouldn't have any problems running a 2.5 amp for a while on those. I mean, that's why they come with it. And just to give everybody a little background noise, because sometimes I have wind noise, sometimes I have cars going by, and not everybody likes product reviews. So if you don't, not a big deal. I don't do too many of them. This is a rare treat for me because one of my neighbors just got this setup, so it's actually not my setup. I'm just testing it and doing reviews for you guys. I do have my sprinkler, so everybody loves that impact sprinkler noise, right everybody? So that's going to be your background today. Alright, so let's start this bad boy up just so you can hear it. This little handle here will be your self-propelled motor. This lever will be your cutting blade, and this will be your power button to turn it on. Alright, so if you follow this, first thing they want you to have this upright, because one of the nice features about this is this entire thing will go up against the wall in your garage. So if you have a smaller garage, say a 2-car garage, or even a 1-car garage, or even you put this into a shed or shack in the back, you know, it's very nice that it, you know, just push this, and there you are. And obviously I'll take the bag off, because we don't need a bag right now. And you lift it up. Look at how nice and compact that is. Is that nice or what? Doesn't take up any storage. Whereas a lot of the gas ones, you know, you have issues with putting it up like this, whether or not the oil goes in the wrong places. You don't want it to sit in the wrong place. And then put it down. Then it's down. Pull this little lever and lift. Alright, so let's start this up. So hold this button on. So there's only one setting on there, just like regular mowers. This little lever right here that you see toggles how fast this self-propelled motion goes. Not getting watered frequently enough, so I'm doing my once every couple days watering now. I'm just starting it up because I don't see any watering in the forecast, so bear with me. I am still watering. So bear with me, everybody. This is my first watering of the year, basically. So here I'll go on the lowest speeds. So here I'm going to test the speeds for you guys. I'm going to go on the lowest setting, then I'm going to go on the highest setting for fastest. But of course, the fastest is only for a test. Oh no, it's going away on its own. I better catch that. But just remember, you don't need to mow fast, okay? Slower, a lot of the times will be better for you. Alright, now that I have caught the mower, here's our test. So this is the lowest setting. And now will be the highest or fastest setting. So it's very interesting. You can hear the difference. Very nice to have different features, even though like my Toro, it's completely self-propelled based upon how fast you're walking. It goes along with your walking speed. But, you know, this is nice because of the fact that you can engage it, you can not engage it, you can do whatever you want. Meaning, if you don't pull this lever here, it's not going to do any self-propelling on its own. You can do your old normal push style mowing. And from what I understand, this is also going to increase the life of the battery. So let's say you have a little bigger lawn and one battery just doesn't quite cut it. So what you can do is just not use the self-propelled as often. So again, there are puts and takes, but you know, you can buy another battery, you can not buy another battery. I mean, there's always goods and bads. So just a unbiased review here that I'm giving you, just helping you out in case either you have this or you're thinking about buying it, okay? And yes, we can all hear that it does sound just like a golf cart. And for us golfers, that's a very nice thing, right? That's a thumbs up on that. And one other thing I will mention, that if you undo these, this can go up or down. So depending on your height, this is a good thing or a bad thing. So depending on your height, you know, this can come in handy. And at the lowest possible setting, I'm going to show you that it's very comparable when in motion to the Scotch spreader that I use, and that I believe most of you use up there. So here, of course, it's lower when it's lying down, but when you're actually using it and it's off the ground, it's actually the same exact height as the lowest setting on this Ego mower. Okay, so just for a reference for height purposes. Another great thing about this is the fact that it is much quieter than a gas mower. So gas mowers are very loud, obviously, and in most communities, I'm sure you're not mowing the lawn and pissing off your neighbors at, you know, 7 o'clock or even earlier. So 8 to 9 o'clock is usually the earliest you get to it. But using these, it's so quiet that you could probably get away with doing it, you know, at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And they know that. At Ego, they know that. And even late at night. And you know how they know that? And this is my proof right here. They actually have LED headlights for you doing it early in the morning before the sun's out, or later in the afternoon, or evening, I should say. And see if I can get these lights on. There we go. So can't really tell, but the lights are on. Let me just toggle them on and off. Again, I'm in the daylight, so you're not going to see much. Let me angle it at you real quick. Lights off, lights on. Lights off, lights on. Sorry, I do this with my daughter all the time. We love it. Hopefully you do too. Lights off, lights on. And of course, this is also going to drain out of the battery, so if you're using this, it's not going to help out the battery in any way. But again, these are LEDs, so LEDs don't take much, but I'll let you guys decide on that. Now I'm just going to show you guys the sound of this, and then I'll show you also on my Toro. Alright, so now I'm going to tip this mower over and show you guys one of the interesting things about this. Two different blades. You have a normal cutting blade here and also a high lift blade here. And this is okay to run like this, so that's pretty interesting, I think, that this is running two different blades for twice the mulching effect. So very nice to have. Give it a try. But this does make it run louder, so if you're cutting it earlier in the morning or late in the afternoon, evening, you might not want both of them on, because you can definitely hear the difference in the noise. But right now we're going to do it worst case as far as noise, and then I'm going to take one of these blades off and show you normal case. Okay? And you'll notice that when I put this down, it doesn't really matter which way I lean it, because it's electric. It doesn't have the oil and the gas issues of, hey, which way do I lean the mower when I'm working on it? Lean to the left, lean to the right. Don't have those issues, so hey, another plus. So now all I'm going to do is start up the mower so you can hear how loud it is versus the Toro. So push the button, pull the handle. So that's how loud that is. Now let me show you versus my Toro how much louder this is. quite a bit louder, and this is already running 2 different blades. So now let's take one blade off and see how much quieter it is versus a Toro. One of the other things that I did notice while changing or taking off this second blade is, I'm not sure if you could read this, but it says, "This side faces grass." Interesting. So apparently a lot of people have problems with which way is up when you're looking at the blade. So they have made it even more dummy proof. So that's a great thing. Another plus. So let's test how loud this is with only one blade. Alright, now let's test the sound quality and how loud it is. Wow, now that is extremely quiet. That is definitely not noticeable for all the neighbors in the morning. That's why it is what it is. So there was no more vibration. So I don't know if you noticed, but in the original example with the 2 blades, this engine compartment was actually vibrating as soon as you started up, and even a little after you start up. There was a lot of vibration. You could feel it here, you could feel it in the handle too. So there was no vibration, and it is very quiet. So let me do that one more time for you guys. No vibration at all. Now let me show you again versus the Toro. What kind of sound difference we're talking about. There's a difference of our sound, and the Eco wins by no comparison. I even gave the Toro a little head start by putting it farther away, because I know it's going to be loud to begin with. So this technically wasn't even a fair comparison. They should both be as close to the microphone as possible, but hey, it is what it is, right? And while I have both mowers here, I will also note that the weight is extremely different between the 2, just in case you ever had to bring the lawnmower and actually carry it somewhere. So because this is lighter weight, it's easier to transport, carry, and do whatever you want with it. Probably trim corners as well. And if you're thinking this is a little embarrassing because this mower is so dirty right now, I agree with you. This wasn't supposed to be shown, but I figured it was a great comparison, so please, don't judge me. So, next thing I want to talk about is how you change your mower height settings. Again, I always have it, my Toro set in the summertime for second to the highest tier. So, I always say mow tall, great thing to do. I'm mowing at about 3.5 inches right now, and it's, I'll be honest, it is a pain having to change all 4 and sometimes raise it up or hold it up at the same time. And sometimes, I don't know if it's just this one on my back left that seems to slip out of the spot and seems to go 1 notch lower, and when I catch that I get so frustrated because that doesn't make the grass look very good. You know, you can tell over time, and each cut it's just not as green because it's not getting that even slice of the lawn. So this happens once in a while. I probably should change out this piece, but I mean that came straight from the factory like that, so it is what it is. I mean, these are just metal and they get bent over time, although mine got bent right out of the box, so it is what it is. So very nice on the Ego. Sad to say, another benefit of the Ego versus the Toro is how easy you can change this. So you change all 4 wheels the same way, and all you do is you basically pull this out just like, and look at how low that goes, all the way to the bottom almost. So very easy, all 4 wheels. You don't have to worry about one wheel being high, one wheel being low. They're all even every time. And if you want to go back up, it's a little harder because you're working against gravity. Going down is one thing, so you don't have to touch it as one-handed. But when you go up, you can't, like, you could try and force it, but it's pretty hard. So I like to just take a spot right here on the handle and lift it up as I go, so now I can go all the way to the top. And the top is a very high setting. It's a little bit higher than the Toro's high setting. So, but I'm going to go one notch below the highest setting, which is a number 5 on here. Now, I wish a company made it smart and easy to say, hey, a 5 means 5 inches. But it really doesn't. It's just a 5th setting. I don't know why they just don't do 1 inch settings and then, you know, they do half for half inch. So maybe one day the companies will get smart on this and actually change those settings. But for now, just remember the 5, go 1 notch below the highest setting. That's what I always recommend. On whatever mower you got, go to the highest setting and go 1 notch below. That'll be great for you. Okay, now while I still got my sprinkler going on, I figured, okay, maybe I'll review the other products right now while I'm at it. The other ones will be pretty quick. The trimmer and the blower. And then I'll show you actually how the lawnmower is cutting versus the Toro. Alright, so this is the string trimmer, and this is very long. At first glance, this is very long. And of course you can modify the height with the Allen wrenches, or hex keys as they call them. But I'm going to leave it the stock height, just in case my neighbor wants it this height. So, pretty easy to operate. This kind of has a safety mechanism. Our top button is basically the safety button, and then the bottom button is actually what starts it up. And you need both, because you can't just push this bottom one by itself. So you push. One thing I do like about this is the fact that it has 2 different places where the wire comes out, or string comes out I should say, versus like mine only has 1. So in my opinion this should be cutting much better, much quicker, even though it's not all about speed, everybody, just like we said before. But that is a nice feature to have. And this will come out, you'll get more spool out. Basically all you do is push on this, and of course you're not going to push on it, you're actually just going to push on the ground. You know, most trimmers work this way. Push on the ground, bang on the ground, and that's what releases more spool. Okay? And again, right now this is the 2.5 amp battery that came with it. I could change it out, very easy to change out. Push this little button here and it's already out. Just to show you, I will do the same thing with the 7.5, which is what came with the lawnmower. Much bigger. Obviously I wouldn't recommend this normally, but it's nice to have if you need it. Alright, there it is. Much bigger now, and you will notice it is definitely heavier because it's 7.5 amp. So it will work the same. Again, there's no difference in power that I noticed. It's only a difference in how long the battery lasts. And 2.5 amp is in the mower. I'll just show you that it does work the same. Holding this handle, however, look, I get pulled back. The back wheels are locked for some reason because of this handle and the forward momentum, you know. So once I went forward again and then backward. So I just wanted to show you that also, something I noticed. that basically once I used the self-propelled and I was using it and going forward, I'm not able to go backward. Obviously, this is self-propelled going forward. It's not meant to go backward. So if I use this and then I stop, see, it seems to be a problem. Look at this. It will not go backwards even though I'm not holding the self-propelled. You have to go forward again and let it go backwards. So in case you're having a problem with that, that's how to get around it. So that works. Just a matter of tricky, I guess you could say, as far as when this actually lets go, we'll say, when the system lets go for the self-propelled. Okay? But just in case you have the same problem, that's how to get around it. You just move it forward and then start going backwards. Okay? And there goes our friendly mailman. Interrupting my YouTube videos again. Messing up our beautiful sound effect background of the watering. And speaking of the watering, unfortunately, watering is over, so we're going to turn that off now. One of the nice features about this is this is a very soft grip. I like things that are soft, so this is working for me. I know in my Black & Decker, it's not as soft as this. So, definitely a little plus is when you look at where it's actually cutting, and this is the blade, or I should say. So, if you look at where it's actually cutting, it's cutting here, and then this cover is usually covering the top of it. So this is very interesting, and in the beginning it was a little scary for me, to be honest, that the cover, protective cover, is back here. So when I'm using it, it actually looks like this, meaning it's open when I'm cutting it. But the way it cuts is it's cutting clockwise, of course, but then when it's actually, we'll say, discharging, all the discharging is going and hitting against this housing. So that's the way you want it. It just looks a little different to me, but it does work. I used it a while already and it did not have any issues. But of course, always wear some glasses just to be safe. You never know when things seem to pop up, especially around gravel or driveways or stuff like that. And because of the fact that it is open on the end there and you can actually see it, that is a very nice feature though that I'm not used to, is that I can see the end of the trimmer, which I'm usually not able to see. So because I can see that and I can see the sides, that's very nice to see, because then when you're putting it down, it forms like a circle, we'll say, so you can actually cut, even if you're not just trimming or missed a little section of your lawnmower, which we all do, of course. So like, oh, I forgot to do that section. This would be a nice feature to have, that you can just go over the top and you can see your whole circle that you're cutting. As far as power-wise, it doesn't feel more or less power than the other battery power ones that I've used in the past, so no plus, no minus on that. And let me get rid of this 7.5 and put this back in. I'm not in the mood for a workout right now, so I'm just going to go back to the small one. Leave the 7.5 in the mower where it belongs. I'm going to go to the blower next. So let's put the battery in. Alright, so here is your blower. There's your numbers. So, this is pretty nice also. There's definitely some drawbacks on this, which I'll go through. So here's your start button. It's one push operated. There's no automatically holding it, meaning like there's no button where you could press and it automatically holds it. So that's definitely a drawback that this has versus some of the other ones that I've seen out there, or even the one that I use. Like mine has a button on top where you could just push and it will hold it on so that you don't have to consistently hold this top button. I'm sorry, the ignition. So without that button on top that holds it on so you don't have to hold this trigger, that actually could make your job quite a bit longer or harder, we'll say, depending on how often you use that or how often you like holding this trigger. So, but it is a nice, friendly handle. Pretty ergonomic, we'll say. And this little toggle right here will be how much power you want out of your blower. So this is the lowest setting, and if you turn to the green side, it's the highest setting. And here I'll show you real quick, lowest setting versus highest setting. So here it's very quiet on the lowest setting, doesn't blow very hard, but it's nice to have that setting. You know, sometimes you want that, let's say you're blowing leaves out of a rock bed or something along those lines. It's nice to have a setting that is a lower setting. Like my blower right now doesn't have that setting, so it's definitely a nice feature to have. So here it is on lowest setting. Pretty quiet, I can still talk over it. And all the way up is right there. So this is pretty good power. And then, if you ever need it, more power, it will completely bypass this toggle right here. So this toggle will not mean anything. If you hit this turbo button on top, see turbo, ooh, it's upside down. There you go, turbo right on top. So if you press this button, no matter what setting you're on, and the trigger, of course, it will go at a very high speed. Obviously, this will drain the battery much quicker, just like if you have like a vacuum or a Dyson. So you only want to use this turbo when you absolutely need it. But let me show you the difference between the highest setting and the turbo. This is the highest setting, and here's the turbo. You can even see once I engage the turbo, it actually pushes back in my hand. So I'm not going to try and force against it. So here's the normal on. Pushes a little bit back. Turbo pushes back quite a bit. So the turbo definitely pushes back quite a bit. It's definitely a lot stronger. Now I will mention that my gas-powered blower is more powerful than this. And reason being, again, it's battery-powered. It is what it is. But on the turbo setting, I would say that's the equivalent as my Toro blower. And just because this was a fun exercise, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do it from the lowest setting to the highest setting and see how far I can blow the cardboard. Again, lowest setting first. And it seems to stop about 5 feet or so. Now I'm going to turn up to the highest setting, which is not turbo. That stops now around, looks like about 10 feet, maybe 8 feet, 8 to 10 feet. Now I'm going to use the turbo, and it's going to blow it off the screen, hopefully. And now it is close to 15 feet or so. That whole cardboard is gone. It's all the way by the sidewalk. For a blower, in my opinion, and it's nice the fact that you don't have to mix gas and oil like I have to do with my gas-powered one. So, assuming the batteries will last long enough, that's the only question, right? But very nice and interchangeable, and comes with one. And I will mention before I forget. So before I forget to mention this, the 2.5 amps will come with both the blower, and another battery will come with the trimmer, of course, in case you wanted to buy them individually. So it's nice that then you'll have a backup. Assuming you buy both, you'll have a backup. And also a backup for the lawnmower, in case you buy a lawnmower too. And they're all interchangeable. And even better, if you had a snowblower, they have a snowblower made by Ego also that you can mix and match the batteries also with. So again, you'd be maintenance free for the whole year for all your lawn and outdoor equipment, power tools. So this is the battery charger that comes with it. You know, it's a normal charger in case you don't need a rush. But let's say a lot of us, oh shoot, I forgot to charge up the battery and all my batteries are dead. Or maybe you only have a lawnmower, only have one battery. You know, this is okay. Then what you'd do is you'd buy a turbocharger. So this is the turbocharger. It charges these 7.5 amps, I believe, in about a half hour. so it's much better than the non-turboed version. But of course, it's an extra charge for this. Just in case you needed it, it's out there. So again, link to it below in the description in case you're interested in one of these products or all of them. Okay, now I'm going to show you real quick on the cutting of my Toro versus the cutting of the Ego. And while I'm doing this, I did a few strips already, but just listen to the Ego. It's such a nice feel because of the fact that you barely even hear the mower. I can actually hear the blades of grass being cut, and that's such a nice change that all you're hearing is blades of grass getting cut, like cutting on your hair. Oh, I love to reference my hair because I cut my own hair. But anytime I can get a reference of that in, I will. So listen of the cut quality difference between the two. So I'm not sure if you could tell, but that second pass coming back towards you guys was a little bit louder because I engaged the self-propelled motor that time. Versus on the pass that way was much quieter, and all you could hear was grass being cut because I was using the old style push mower and didn't need to engage. So to each his own, depends on maybe if you really need it that quiet and your neighbors are really frustrated with any noise that early in the morning or late at night, maybe that would be the way for you, is not to even do the self-propelled. So next step up will be the Toro. So big difference in sound as we tested earlier, but now we're going to check to see how well the cut did. Okay, and one thing I will mention, that the Toro, because of it being heavier, even without the striping system I'm using, you will see better stripes than using the Ego model, because the Ego is so light, you can turn corners so easy. It's lighter in general, and therefore it won't weigh and mat the grass down for your striping, even if you use a striper or don't use a striper in general. So stripes will not look as good. So if you're going to go with the Ego and you still want stripes, make sure you get a nice heavy piece of pipe or something to put in the back, and most likely you'll do it yourself. So these two stripes up here, or strips, are the Toro, and these four over here are with the Ego mower. You can tell I don't really see much of a difference. Seem to cut about the same. I don't see any stragglers, we'll call them, those little independent one strips of grass that sometimes missed depending on mowers and how fast, and a lot of factors. Everybody hates those little ones standing up, just like, hey, one, I'm here. So looks pretty good to me, looks pretty even. I don't see any inconsistencies in the lawn as far as divots or other problem spots. Let me look in some other area here. Go towards the end here. Again, these last two are the Toro stripes, or strips, and it all looks to be a pretty nice cut. All will have no browning on top of the blades of grass because they are all sharp blades. My Toro, and of course the brand new Ego mower, because it has a brand new blade on it. so I don't see any difference in cutting quality, to be honest. Even going back the other way, again, I do need a little bit of water in the back. I don't really water the back, so this is kind of my backyard at the end of July. Pretty much the roughest time of the year. Not too bad though. Now, as you can see in my review, there's a lot of puts and takes, pros and cons, good and bad, about going battery powered versus going gas powered for lawn care equipment. Alright, so you just got to figure out what's most important to you. Is it, hey, I don't want to go and buy gas, I don't want to smell the gas, I don't want to have the gas in my car or vehicle while I'm transporting it, I don't want to deal with the mixing of the oil and the gas, or changing the oil once a year, or changing filters, changing lots of factors, cleaning the carburetor out. So I personally know that Toro lawnmower, I have to clean out the carburetor much more than I want to, more frequently than once a year. And maybe this is part of their regular maintenance, but in my opinion, it gets gunked up way too often. So this is a very nice alternative they have, that you don't have that and you have the battery. Assuming the battery lasts a while, that's the only factor. Alright, that's the end of the video, everybody. I just want to thank you again for watching my review of the Ego brand mower, trimmer, and blower. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave me something in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos and thumbs up, especially if you found this video helpful. Alright, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.